Be 2003 NBA draft. It's at least going to be my last redraft for a little while. And I will be doing the draft lottery again. If you saw my draft yesterday, I did only the draft lottery for 2015. And obviously 2003, one of the most loaded drafts ever, especially when it comes to the top five, having that many all-stars in the top five in one draft, including some of the best players in the NBA today. So go ahead and start with the number one overall pick. And actually, before I get into that, I will be posting the results of my entire redraft in the description below. So number one, got the Cleveland Cavaliers taking their original pick, LeBron James. Obviously, best player out of this draft, one of the best players in the league right now. Not much to say about it. Number two, I got the Detroit Pistons taking the original Miami Heat pick, Dwyane Wade. So he was originally picked at 5. The Detroit Pistons, obviously, if you remember, originally took Darko. If you remember Darko Milicic, one of the biggest busts in NBA draft history. Obviously, they would like a redo to be able to get Dwyane Wade there. Dwyane Wade led the Heat to a championship in 2006, and then also won two other championships while LeBron was there in Miami. Again, probably future Hall of Famer, one of the best players in Heat history, and a fan favorite in Miami, and obviously Detroit would love to have had the same fortune. So at number 3, I got the Denver Nuggets selecting their original pick, Carmelo Anthony. Put in good time while he was in Denver before he went over to New York. Never able to win a championship. Got close on about 2-3 occasions. Conference finals, I believe, once. But yeah, I don't think they would redo the pick if they could. Maybe if they could hang on to him and do that over again, they might. But again, that's a different situation. So number 4, I got the Toronto Raptors selecting the center that they originally picked, center/power forward, Chris Bosh. Again, putting good time in Toronto. Never won a championship there, but neither has anyone else. So, number 5, I got the Miami Heat taking the original, I believe it was New Orleans Hornets pick, and that is David West. So, hard to think David West is actually this young, because it seems like he's been in the league for so long as a Pacers fan. He was tremendous with Indiana. He's been an all-star in his career. One of the hardest fighting power forwards ever. He's a guy that wherever he goes, he can be the heart and soul type player for your team. Fights hard. He's a good rebounder. He's a great defender. He's got a good mid-range jump shot. One of the more underrated things in the NBA now. And obviously, he just signed with San Antonio on a veterans minimum just because he tried to want to win a championship, but then they got ousted by OKC. Obviously, if Miami didn't end up with Dwyane Wade, David West wouldn't be the worst option in the world. Their fortunes probably would have been a little bit different, though. So at number 6, I got the LA Clippers taking their original pick, Chris Kaman. This is probably one of the ones that people are going to disagree with the most, because Chris Kaman's a guy that there really hasn't been much more than a role player for much of his career. He's now a 11th, 12th player in the rotation for the Portland Trail Blazers. He did have an all-star year with the Clippers, though, and that's why I'm keeping him where he is. It's hard. Obviously, there's not many players on this list that were all-stars with the team they were drafted by. So number 7, I got the Chicago Bulls taking the shooting guard, now playing for the Atlanta Hawks, Kyle Korver. Korver, all-star last year. Originally a second-round pick in this draft. It's hard to think of one of the more underrated players in this draft. And, that rare second-round pick that actually ends up coming through as an all-star. You normally get about 1 or 2 per draft that end up that way. But like most of the time, the second round seems like graveyards of international players when you go back and look through the draft. Number 8, I have the Milwaukee Bucks selecting the point guard, Mo Williams. So, Mo Williams was an all-star at one time. His career averages honestly aren't that good. This is a guy that's not a very. To be honest, I got to figure out what roster he's on now. He's been floating around in the league recently, and just up and down career. But overall, he was an all-star at one time. Ended up getting picked by the Utah Jazz in the second round. Again, one of those steals from a second-round pick, and did end up playing for Milwaukee for a little bit. In the beginning years of his career, is on Cleveland now. But anyway, I think that he should, that especially through the prime part of his career, he was worthy of a top 10 pick, especially in this draft. So at number 9, I got the New York Knicks selecting the original pick by, I believe, the Phoenix Suns, Boris Diaw. This was a player that obviously now with the San Antonio Spurs has been a great role player in that rotation for a couple of years now. Drafted by the Suns. So, again, even at this point in his career, he's still a useful player. He's still a serviceable player. He still gets a ton of minutes in the rotation for a championship caliber team. Obviously in the latter half of his career, though. Number 10, I got the Washington Wizards selecting the, I believe, original first-round pick, but Leandro Barbosa, obviously on the Golden State Warriors now, the Brazilian blur. Tremendous role player for a championship squad last year. So, again, a player that any team would love to have in their rotation right now. So, at number 11, I got the Golden State Warriors selecting the point guard originally selected by the Chicago Bulls, Kirk Hinrich. So, definitely not a bad career by any sense of the word. And, good shooter. He's had problems staying consistent in his time in the league, never been a consistent starter. But, anyway, sorry about that. At number 12, I got the Seattle Supersonics selecting the power forward. I guess Oklahoma City Thunder technically now, but he's still with the franchise that he's been with the entire time, and it's Nick Collison. So keeping this pick where it stays because he's been a very serviceable player throughout his career. He's been a great depth player and still is a fan favorite in OKC now. Number 13, I got the Memphis Grizzlies selecting the point guard Jose Calderon. Still a serviceable player for the Knicks. I use this word a lot because that's what you get at this point in most drafts. But again, had his time in his career with the Raptors as a very good shooting point guard. He's still a very good shooter in this league, and the Grizzlies would have liked to have a player like this through, especially the prime stages of his career before they were able to draft and develop Mike Conley. So at number 14, I got the Seattle Supersonics, also I guess Oklahoma City Thunder, selecting the forward originally drafted by the Dallas Mavericks, Josh Howard. So if you remember following Josh Howard's career back in the day, obviously derailed by injuries, but he was if he had not gotten injured, he probably would have been a top 8 pick here. But obviously his career's done. If the draft was redone today, which that's hard to imagine since this draft took place like 13 years ago. But anyway, he obviously wouldn't be picked, but you got to throw up some respect to a guy that, was an all-star and had a very good career that was just derailed by injuries and actually did have a very serviceable career still for the Dallas Mavericks. So that pretty much does it. Like I said, short, sweet, to the point. If you did not see my redraft yesterday, I'll post a link to that in the description below. And if you want to see any more redrafts, then definitely let me know. Sometime in the future, I'll probably do them. Like I said, I like doing mock drafts, redrafts, that sort of thing. That's pretty much it. So, yeah.